The YouTube? What's up?
Oh, I can start now. Okay, sorry. All right, thank you for coming to our board meeting. If you would please help me open with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag with the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. The roll call, please.
Trustee Grimm,
Here.
Trustee Jessberger.
Here.
We're going to proceed without Trustee Sear tonight. Fiscal Office is here, FO Steele, Township Administrator, Chief of Fire, Chief of Police, Superintendent of Public Works.
I did want to make known that Trustee Sarah is not here. She had an exposure to COVID and made the choice to not come today for safety reasons. All right, our next meeting is August 4th, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. Excuse me, at 999 Chambers. At this time, I would like to make a motion to accept the agenda with flexibility.
Second.
Trustee Grimm?
Here.
Trustee-
Yes.
Trustee Jessberger?
Yes. And then on to the OPWC discussion.
I know that was something Trustee Sarah requested for the agenda, but I know Public Works has been working with the county on an application. I don't know if you want to go further into the discussion where we are with it, or if you want to wait.
I would say we'll wait. If she's the one that placed it on the agenda, it'd be better to have her to be here for discussion. All right, moving on to the fiscal officer. A motion to approve bills.
Second.
Trustee Grimm?
Yes.
Trustee Jessberger?
Yes. Motion to approve payroll.
Second.
Trustee Grimm?
Yes.
Trustee Jessberger?
Yes. And a motion to approve the June 2nd meeting minutes.
Second.
Trustee Grimm?
Yes.
Trustee Jessberger?
Yes.
I apologize, I forgot to put on the budget, which is important. We need to approve the budget tonight. So that should be the next agenda item.
So I would like to make a motion to approve the budget,
The 2022-2023 budget.
the 2022 and 23 budget.
Thank you.
I will second the motion that we should open discussion to discussing the budget.
Okay. So tonight we have the budget. We, by law, have to approve that by the 20th of this month. This is the first week I'm having an assistant on board. Very glad to have her. And in years ahead, we hope to kind of get this process started earlier. Biggest highlight from the budget is showing $1 million next year going to all three departments. Don't need to pick that apart, but that's just sort of the big highlights.
If I remember correctly from our discussions, that's due to.
One of the newer things is showing that HRA would be fully exhausted. This is called health reimbursement account. So we have to allocate a lot of money. Those tend to only be 40% spent. So in years past, I would say, okay, police need to have 165,000 set aside for HRA expenses, but I think the department only needs 65,000. This and moving forward, we need to say they're going to spend all that 165,000. So hopefully they don't need to, but it made a larger gap in their budget, which is why I'm suggesting a $600,000 transfer next year to them. Whereas my previous draft only had a $300,000 transfer to them. But overall, the income tax continues to keep the general fund healthy, and we're not spending more than what's coming in by a lot. I mean, that's a relative statement, but overall, the township-wide's budget's very healthy. But police is needing continued CETA support, which I don't think is a problem, but it's every year the board will make that decision. And fire and roads, actually. So it's not to put any one department out there. Do you want to entertain a question, or do you want to keep the discussion right now between the board and me?
I just have a quick question. I noticed something that's positive, that it looks like we're getting each year a little bit more from local government than we have been getting. We used to get a whole lot. And I thought it went down to about like 120,000 or so we're getting. It looks like it's
150 now.
going back up again.
Yeah, it might be. I think it is about 150.
Did they have something about that? Or?
Not that I know of. I just key it in as it comes in.
Okay.
Yeah, many years ago it was healthy, and then it took a dip, and now it's coming back up again.
Right, yeah.
And our CETA took a dip during COVID, but is recovering. It's still not as strong as pre-COVID, but it didn't take a nosedive either. Thank God. All right. So this is really just our best effort. It doesn't marry the township to any other outcomes, other than if we did change something wildly, we'd need to update the county. But this is our best effort of saying where we think fund balances will be at the end of this year and next year. So I suggest when we end this, as we head towards the end of this year, the board passes a resolution telling me how much to transfer in January next year to the various departments. So tonight, this budget says police will get 600,000, fire will get 300,000, and roads would get 100,000. I'd still need board approval to do that, and the board could still change their mind between now and then. But I'm just suggesting in December or so, you all pass a resolution allowing me to do that in early January. But I don't want to do it on January 1st again, because that made my fund balances a little hard to chase from a clerical end.
But we can decide later on, like what fund that's gonna come out of, how that's gonna be organized and what that look like, or are you kind of saying, so I know that in some of the discussions that we've had, we've talked about potentially creating different line items that clarify specifically what each of the assets are gonna be spent for, so that all can get organized and determined before we actually do the process, correct?
Legally, only the general fund can transfer to another fund. And so what we're saying in the budget tonight is 300,000 would go to fire. The board isn't allocating to the fire department, oh, you can only spend that on equipment, or you can only spend that on salaries. When the CETA money started, the income tax started, things used to happen in the general fund. The general fund would pay for a police officer, maybe the general fund was going to eat equipment costs. And after a handful of years doing it that way, we started doing the transfers instead because it was easier to manage. And then the end of the year reports are cleaner and clearer of how much money came into Clinton Township, how much was spent on police, fire, infrastructure improvements. So from the 10,000-foot view, we know both departments need income tax support. It's not even 50% of their revenues at this point, but they need it, or a levy would have had to have been passed, which we're not going to talk about that right now. This is just saying this draft is saying all three departments would get some piece of $1 million next year. And that, like I'm saying, it's not committing the board to doing that, but that is the general intent, and that's how the department heads are believing things will go next year. If it changes, it changes. Okay?
With the department heads, like to make any comments about the budget?
Yeah.
I know we had a meeting
Last Friday.
for a couple of hours, and went back and forth over the issues, and two things moving forward, and I'm pretty confident with the numbers that show up today.
And I did attempt a 5-year, but that's not what's on the table tonight. 5 years should be done, but what's most important is the year and a half ahead. All right. Ready for the roll call? All right. Trustee Grimm.
Yes.
Trustee Jessberger.
Yes. On to committee and team reports.
For the Clinton Township Chat Produce Market from June 10th and June 24th, we had 12,000 pounds of produce that was distributed to 688 individuals, and 29 naloxone kits were also distributed. And I think the next one is me too. The immunization clinic that we hold through Franklin County Public Health was here on July 12th, and they had appointments for 22 patients.
Awesome. And then we have another produce market tomorrow.
Tomorrow from 4 to 6. Anyone would like to help out, we ask if you show up around 3 or 3:30. Doors open at 4 for drive-through.
I'll be there. Thank you. On to administration.
I'm going to move the monthly report to the last item because some of my monthly report topics still need to be approved and discussed by the board. So I'm going to move on to number 2, which is the request of motion to hire Deborah Smothers as a full-time community affairs public relations specialist and assistant to the board at a rate of $22 an hour effective July 11, 2022, pending the completion of background to be paid from line 1000-110-132.
Seconded.
Trustee Grimm?
Yes.
Trustee Jesberger?
Next is a resolution authorizing any member of the Board of Trustees or other appropriate township official to provide the notices to the Columbus City School District.
Seconded.
Trustee Grimm?
Yes.
Trustee Jesberger?
Third is resolution authorizing any member of the Board of Trustees or other appropriate, oops, I'm sorry. We already did that one. Motion to authorize township administrator and department heads to coordinate the use of township facilities for public cooling stations.
Seconded.
This is something we did a week or 2 ago during the higher heat timeframes. We opened up community room here as a cooling station. So we're just trying to get something a little more formal on the books.
Basically, the temperatures got up, if you guys remember, it was like 95 to 100 degrees that day, and there was all those power outages. So we tried to open it up so that people who didn't have access to cooling, heating, electric, whatever kind of power source they needed, they were able to come here as a safety place. That's why it's considered a cooling station. So we just wanted to formalize that, relationship so that we can publicly announce that go ongoing forward if there was other sorts of emergencies that we would have the ability to do that here. So
Fire Chief Fraley did create the IAP to go along with that, and that's a program that we'll follow going forward.
Yeah, thank you, Chief, for doing all that hard work.
Actually, it was all part of this, it took part of it. Worked out a little.
You guys are really
I
awesome.
think the trustees jumped in too. So thanks to you.
All I did was translate.
All right.
You did a lot of my emotional support, and that was really nice.
Good times during power outages.
Yes.
All right, we're ready for the roll call? Trustee Grimm?
Yes.
Trustee Jesberger?
Yes.
Then on to my monthly report, just some of the items that happened within the past month. We did complete the salt barn construction. That's something I started, but luckily when Dave came on board, he was able to kind of, with his background and everything, really take that and move forward. So we do have a new salt barn that is in the back of the building. If anyone wants a tour of it, we can give you a tour later after the meeting. It's 6-foot poured walls with a fire retardant tarp on hoop above it. There is a discussion of possibly having to take over a cemetery, which will be the first one in the township that the township will be responsible for maintaining. That is still up in the air. A developer purchased or is in the process of purchasing the Ebenezer Church. And there's a cemetery back behind there that they don't necessarily want to maintain, and because of the Ohio Revised Code, if the cemetery is kind of turned over, it falls into the township's hands to maintain. So more to come on that probably later here. I see some of the residents. We did have a Northeast Area Commission follow-up meeting regarding a proposed rezoning and variances for a mobile home park, which is actually in the city of Columbus, but it is on the other side of Brandon, which is back into, I think, the back row here, most of their residents. The last we knew, I haven't heard anything more, but the attorney for the applicant withdrew the application and was planning on coming forward. I don't know if the residents may have heard anything other than that, but that's the last I've heard. But there has been a meeting, several meetings in regards to that. It seems like the Northeast Area Commission is on the side of the residents in regards to that particular project. In regards to the one item about the Columbus City Schools, that is in regards to possibly moving forward with a tax increment financing district or a TIF. But in order to do that, we had to really kind of break out the parcel ID numbers. So we were we're looking at possibly doing two, an east side TIF and a west side TIF. So we had to take all those parcel ID numbers and try to separate them all out. So I spent some time with that and worked with the attorney in regards to that. Trustee Justberger did have her one chat with the trustees, so I did attend that, and we had our one resident here, Carol, I believe, correct? Attend that, so that was good. The cooling centers we discussed, we have some ongoing issues with the roof. Trying to work with a contractor to get that fixed. Trustee Sarah has brought up the One Ohio project, which is opioid, I always have a hard time with that word, money for the states. At this point, it looks like we'll have Fire Chief Fraley be a representative for the townships within Franklin County.
Mhm.
I don't know, we haven't heard of any potential meeting times yet, have we?
We have an internal meeting coming up on July 28th with other members from One Ohio.
So more to come on that. And then the county auditor did spend an hour here last month, and we did have 4 residents come and have a conversation with them. So kind of a busy month.
Thank you. On to fire with Chief Fraley.
Yes, I sent a monthly report out a couple of days ago. Just one highlight I'd like to talk about. Our firefighters attended the Franklin County Public Health Train-the-Trainer course on community naloxone distribution. This gives us the ability to distribute naloxone during our events here at the fire department or whenever we want to go out to do so. But it also gives us a first of its kind ability to leave naloxone behind when we run on overdoses. So we'll have the ability to leave that behind with family members, anyone who would be in need. We're working on a protocol with our medical director right now, but that will be a first of its kind protocol. So we're pretty excited about that. Next, we would like to request a motion to hire Cole Richter, Evan Snyder, and Nathan Seabury as part-time firefighter basic EMTs at a rate of $11 an hour, pending completion of background checks and physicals to be paid from 2111-220-100 and 2281-230-100.
So moved.
Seconded.
I was going to do the roll call. Okay, Trustee Graham.
Yes.
Trustee Justberger.
Yes.
And next, we'd like to request a motion to hire Seth Bennett as a part-time firefighter basic EMT at $11 an hour, effective June 18th of 2022, to be paid from 2111-220-100 and 2281-230-100.
So moved.
Seconded.
Trustee Graham.
Yes.
Trustee Justberger.
Yes.
And that's all we have. Thank you.
I have one quick question for you. The overdose rates in the township, since COVID started, I know that there had been an increase. Has there been a decrease since restrictions have been lifted?
I think it's actually staying the same right now. We haven't seen a change. We still see the increase when a certain drug comes up Cleveland Avenue, but it's still maintaining a constant. We haven't seen a decrease since restrictions have lifted yet.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, on to police with Chief Jones.
Yeah, first we had monthly report, police department, we had an average of over 700 runs last month. Many of those, some of the trustees received emails on. We did have several shootings and assisted surrounding agencies with several homicides from Oakland Park to the area in Mifflin Township the other night. Like to make an announcement, secondly, that we will be doing National Night Out event, first time since COVID, so it's been several years. That will be taking place Tuesday, August the 2nd from 5 p. to 8 p. And that will be over in the park over on the west side on Hess Boulevard. Target is assisting and sponsoring that National Night Out. So we will have donating some bicycles for boys and girls and some toys that will be raffled off for the younger folks. And Target is also providing food. There will be cookout type items, hot dogs, hamburgers. So if anybody would like to come and join that night, we'll have a bunch of the officers there and a lot of stuff to hand out. So we're kind of glad to be getting back out in public doing things with the residents again. Second, I'd like to request a motion to accept language from the legal counsel. We're going to put that on hold. We have not got that back yet, so I'd like to put that to the next meeting. And I'd like to request a motion for a purchase order amount of $9,000 to Robert H. Meter, LLC. He is the legal counsel that is providing our legal updates and use of force training this year that was mandated by the governor and attorney general. That amount is not fully going to be funded by just Clinton Township, but we are paying that up front. I worked out with the other township chiefs here in Franklin County, so their officers could attend the training here, and they will be reimbursing the township for their costs of that training.
So moved.
Seconded?
Trustee Grimm?
Yes.
Trustee Jessberger?
Yes.
That's all I have.
Thank you.
Well,
Oh,
one more thing, I'm sorry. It's
That's
not
fine.
on the agenda, so I'd like the flexibility for just a minute.
Okay.
I have talked with Administrator Huffman. We would like to start at some point with the trustees, open discussion on getting requests for proposals for a carport. This item was first mentioned back in 2016 when we started construction of the new facility. It was on the agenda back then and got put to the side. But with the impending weather, especially with the electric vehicles we have now, when we get ice and snow, we cannot get in those vehicles because they have flat door handles. So it's very imperative in the wintertime. And now in the summertime with the heat, if we had a carport to park the vehicles under, it keeps the engines cooler, and we could possibly even shut those off to save fuel from keeping those running all the time, and the idle is very detrimental to the gas motors. We have $250,000 in police vehicles, and we have no protection for those like we do all of our other township vehicles. So I would like to request the board that we possibly move forward, at least getting proposals and see what the cost would be for getting that done. So just an information piece, if we could have further discussion next meeting, maybe?
Yes.
Okay. Now that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Public Works, Dave?
Hello. I've already submitted my monthly report to the board. A couple things on there I'll point out, which we already discussed, the salt barn Matt had. And I already moved the remaining salt that we had from last year. Is probably 80 to 100 ton. We moved into the new barn. And we have quite a bit of room, so we should be able to store close to 100% of our salt usage under one roof from the future. into the future here, instead of worrying about whether we can use it. We have to order some more salt. Hopefully we get it in time before the next storm. We should be in a lot better shape moving forward. My crew so far has chipped about 40 and a half ton of wood chips so far this year. I know we've had some calls about, the guys didn't get to me on Monday or Tuesday, but with the weather that we've had, we've been into the middle of the week and to the end of the week to get caught up on some of the brush being chipped. Just hope everybody just bears with us. Then I know we talked earlier in the year about some upgrading reflective markings for the speed humps over on the west side. I did get the thermoplastic reflective triangles in. We have to have a couple good days of nice weather to get the asphalt dry before we can adhere them to the asphalt, but that should be coming shortly. You know, we also had on about, I spoke with Barb Cox from the OPWC grant money. I think we'll just put that off until the next meeting, discuss that. Hopefully I'll have more information by then.
Just got a question.
Yes.
The salt barn, you put a vinyl roof on salt. How does that work?
It's like a canvas material. It's good for, it's warranted, what, 20 years, I believe? It's a hoop. Yeah, it's got a steel frame that's galvanized coated. Then it has the hoop barn. There's many salt barns throughout the state that's using this now. The state of Ohio is using it. I don't know if you're familiar with seeing the hoop barns or not.
Yeah, I just didn't understand putting a vinyl roof on a salt barn. Concrete, salt needs concrete, metal. I just didn't see how that would work very well.
Well, the walls are up 6 feet and they do have a coating, and it is the same style concrete that we have on our curbs on the streets and stuff. So it is more salt resistant other than a public sidewalk or, private sidewalks. So it is a better concrete. It's got more Portland cement into it.
20-year deal.
Yeah.
The hoop barn is, yes.
Yeah, the roof.
Yes. But we had, the old barn was, I don't know how old it was, but it was made out of treated wood, and salt eats the treated wood also.
I think our original quote for a salt barn, and it would have been more fortified, was close to $250,000, and I think this was under 100,000 or just about 100,000. At 2018 prices, yeah. When I'm saying $250,000, that was going back to the 2018 prices. So to build a more resilient thing would have been a lot more money. So we'll see how it goes. Yep.
Okay, moving on. I'd like to request a motion to accept Jake Shelton's resignation effective 6/24/2022.
So moved.
Seconded?
Trustee Graham?
Yes.
Trustee Jesperger?
Yes.
And I'd like to thank Jake Shelton for his service here with the township. The next, I'd like a motion to approve hiring Omar Vargas, contingency upon passing a drug screening and background check effective July 11th, 2022, with his salary starting at $18 per hour to be paid from line item 2011-330-100-000. Also from line item 2021-330-100-000. Then also from line item 2031-330-100-0000. And last, line item 2231-330-100-0000, with benefits to be the same as all non-union township employees.
So moved.
Seconded?
Trustee Graham?
Yes.
Trustee Jesperger?
Yes.
Also, next motion is to amend a resolution 22-06-011 to change the hire date from 6/6/2022 to 6/22/2022. That was where we hired Cody Lester. We originally had the date as 6/6, then he had some issues finding a babysitter and what have you, so he could not start until the 22nd. So we just want to get that set to the right date.
So moved.
Seconded.
Trustee Grimm?
Yep.
Trustee Jesberger?
Yes.
So glad he was able to find that. I can understand how difficult it is, so we're happy to have him, and we're also happy to have Omar.
Then next one is a motion to declare the 2008 F-550 dump truck with snowplow, VIN number 1FDAF56RX8EE15793 surplus and be able to advertise it for sale on Gov Deals.
So moved.
Seconded.
Trustee Grimm?
Yes.
Trustee Jesberger?
Yes.
And finally, we have a tire take-back event this Saturday, July 9th, from 9 a.m. till noon here at the 3820 Cleveland Avenue. We will, it's with the, along with, yeah, it's the Health Department, Franklin County Public Health Department. We'll be taking scrap tires, we'll be bringing in the police station side, dropping your tires off, then going out the fire department side. Like I said, 9 to noon. They will be treating the tires as they're taking them off because it will, for larvicide,